All right, so for this one, remember that this whole thing has to look like ax squared plus b to the x plus c equals 0. And what they have written down does not look like that right now, okay? So I need to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to start moving things away from the right-hand side of the equal sign. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Now I want to move this 10 over here to the other side of the equal sign. Now these 10s will cancel, and over here I have 4x squared minus 20, because negative 10 minus another 10 is a negative 20, is equal to negative 20x, right? Because that's just this is what's left over, we just carry it down. I need to move the negative 20x over, so I do the opposite. I add 20x, and whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. X to the first power is the only term with x to the first power. So on the left-hand side, I've got 4x squared, which is a different power than positive 20x, or term. They're not like terms, is what I'm trying to say. And then the constant, negative 20. And then these cancel over here, so I'm left with 0. So now this whole thing is set. This whole thing is set up to where I can use that formula. So to use the formula, I'm going to say A is equal to 4, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to negative 20. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to say that X is equal to negative B plus or minus B squared minus 4AC all over 2 times A. Whew, that's a lot of work. So then I say X is equal to negative, what's B? 20. Plus or minus the square root of 20 squared minus 4 times A, what's A? 4 times C, which is negative 20, all over 2 times A, which is 4. We are cooking with gas. So then X is equal to negative 20 plus the square root of 20 squared is 400. And then 4 times negative 20 is a negative 80. Negative 80 times the negative 4 is a positive 320. I think. We'll find out in a second. And then 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to double check and see what's going on here. Not a lot of clues. All right. So then I go, okay, cool. Now I got to move over here. So on my next line, and I'm going to need some space. On my next line, I'm going to have X is equal to negative 20 plus or minus the square root of 720 all over 8. Right? Is that right? Yeah. Now I got to think of a perfect square that goes into 720. What's the biggest number that will go into it? 90 will go into it. Yeah, so it's like 9, right? We could pull out a 9. That's a perfect square. I think 4 would go into it. So we got to think of the biggest number. 36 will go into it. So what I need to do is I need to think of perfect squares. So what's 2 squared? 4. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 4 squared? 16. What is 36 squared? Well, I'm jumping ahead of myself. So it'd be like 25 and 36. So this is like 2 squared. This is like 3 squared. This is 4 squared. This is 5 squared. This is 6 squared. I think 6 squared is the biggest one. Now, one thing that we could do is do the prime factorization, but let's just see. If I don't pick a big enough number, right, I can continue to reduce it. I can continue to simplify it. So I think if I say x, so let's do 36. 36 goes into 720 20 times, right? So I think 36 times 20 equals 720. Now I could pull another 4 out of the 20. So that would be 2, 6. I think 144 goes into it. Man, that's a big number. Let's see. Well, let's just do it this way, and then you guys will see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to say negative 20 plus or minus the square root of 36 times the square root of 20 all over 8. Well, then that becomes x equals negative 20 plus or minus 6 times the square root of 20 all over 8. But here's the thing. Isn't 20 the same as the square root of 4 times the square root of 5? All right, 4 times 5 is 20 all over 8. So then I get x is equal to negative 2 plus or minus, what's the square root of 4? 2. What's 2 times 6? 12. Yeah, you're right. This should be 20. This should be 20. Good catch. All right, so now I can simplify this, and I can say negative 20 over 8 plus or minus 12 over 8 times the square root of 5. Well, that will reduce down to, if I divide the top and bottom both by 20, I get negative 5, or not by 20, but by 4. I get negative 5 over 2 plus or minus 3 over 2 root 5. Now, I split it up, but really this is the same as negative 5 plus or minus 3 root 5 all over 2, which is option D. Now, if I want to double check that, I could turn on my calculator and plug it into the formula. So I'm going to clear everything out. You guys do this practice at home. Hit program, then choose quad formula. Our A term was 4, our B term was 20, and our C term was negative 20. All right, I got some numbers here. Well, how do I double check that? Well, I'm going to plug in the plus and or the minus. So I'm going to say 5, we got to put the numerator in parentheses, 5 plus 3 times the square root of 5, close parentheses, divided by 2. Well, bam with the bacon sizzle. Oh, wait. Uh-oh. Mr. Adams, I think, forgot a negative sign. Yep. So I got to put this negative sign in here. So I'm going to, see, I made a mistake. So I'm going to hit this, but I forgot to put in my negative sign. There we go. That's the right answer. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but instead of adding the 3 root 5, I'm going to subtract it. There you go. I got both answers. Okay? So let me take a screenshot of that, put that in the notes. So there's that, and then we're a little bit down here, just so you could see that that's the answer that I got from using the program. Oh, well, that's all right. Any questions on that one?